New research provides even more evidence of why that sleep is so important. Our guest today is Dr. David Huang, with the medical director over at the Tallahassee Memorial Sleep Center. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you.
And also joining us today, Dr. James Olcese. Thank you for being here as well. With the associate professor at the Biomedical Sciences, Neuroscience, and Molecular Biophysics at FSU College of Medicine. Quite the mouthful there. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. Now, this is new research about sleep as it relates to Alzheimer's, and I know that even more so, we hear all the time about why sleep is so very important, but there's real science behind this.
Oh, yes. I think that it's more and more clear that not getting enough sleep can be dangerous, and I think it starts like in the science world with the animal studies. And James, you want to talk about that?
Sure. This is data that's really accumulated only in the last 3-4 years. For example, experiments where you sleep deprive an animal,
right,
and you can show that that animal will start to develop the precursors of dementia, including in the case of an Alzheimer model mouse, the plaques, the depositions in the brain that we relate to Alzheimer's.
Right. I want to pull up a couple of pictures here because we do have some pictures of what the brain looks like, you know, without that plaque and with it. So walk us through this a little bit.
David?
Well, I think in the clinical studies that we know about, one of the first ones was that they took elderly people and they took the average time that they reported they slept, and they found that the people who didn't sleep very much would develop more beta amyloid. And those are those dangerous plaque and plaque-like materials that seem to be associated with Alzheimer's disease. So if you don't get enough sleep, the clinical studies showed that you might have a higher rate of developing plaque, beta amyloid, in your brain.
Okay, so what is an adequate amount of sleep? How much sleep should we be getting?
I think in general, experts would say that 7.5 hours, even 8 is good. But probably if you're getting down to 4, 5, it's not enough.
Not enough sleep. So you got to find ways to do that. And you know, in today's world, we multitask, and it's harder to wind down. What are some ways, aside from medicating, to get a good night's sleep?
I can tell you lots of stuff in an hour, but in 10 seconds, I think probably the most important thing is to have good sleep hygiene habits, good sleep habits, and avoiding probably bright light, TV, computers, or electronic devices at night. Have a stop time because that seems to delay our sleep clock. You know, do you know more about sleep clock?
Oh, yes. The clock is what regulates not only our sleep and wake, but many rhythms in our body, our hormone rhythms, temperature rhythms, all these sort of things. We know it best in the context of jet lag when we change time zones, right? But that same clock is affected, as David said, by light. In particular, light from television screens and computer screens and so on. So what we're doing when we expose ourselves at night to that light is we're affecting our clocks as if we were flying to different time zones. And of course, doing that every night causes a certain degree of stress, you might say, to the brain.
Right. So turn those televisions off when you get to sleep. Turn those cell phones over, whatever it takes, because this research obviously shows that you can be doing some real detriment to yourself. We thank both of you gentlemen for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.